Comedy Store. He watches me in the audience. He comes backstage. He tells me what a great job I did and how much he loves the joke. 2 years later, he's doing that as his last joke on
anything. That's a regret I have. I really shouldn't have said nothing, cause we not in the same league.
And because you finally did it, because you didn't have no other choice, and now that he gone, you gonna act like he wanted to be a movie star. You stop it.
That's kind of like hate and jealousy. And hate and jealousy is a form of grief.
You already know Steve Harvey, the comedy icon who rose from kings of comedy to dominating daytime TV, best-selling books, and motivational stages. The man's built an empire. But if you ask Katt Williams, there's another side to Steve that the world's been blind to. And it's darker than anyone expected. In this video, Katt isn't holding back. He's not just taking shots, he's exposing secrets, claiming Steve Harvey isn't just a comedy legend, but a manipulator who's been playing the industry's game all wrong. So what exactly did Katt say? Why target Steve now? And could there be truth behind these wild accusations? Let's find out.
Just because a person sits on the show and don't hesitate or say or and speaks eloquently, that don't mean it's true.
Katt Williams has never been the type to hold his tongue. From fiery interviews to unforgettable stand-ups, he's built his name on saying what others won't. And this time, his spotlight's aimed straight at Steve Harvey.
Supposed to go last is because it was your tour. Tell the truth. It was Steve's tour.
For years, fans have known about the tension between Katt and Steve. Their feud isn't new, it's history. The most talked about moment came when Katt accused Steve of lifting material from other comedians like Mark Curry. According to Katt, Steve built his empire off other people's punchlines, and Katt made sure the world heard about it.
First of all, I ain't really good at social media, so I didn't even know that was out.
But in this latest clip, Katt takes things to a whole new level. He says Steve Harvey isn't just bad, he's worse than people realize. According to Katt, the man behind the polished, family-friendly TV image is far from what he pretends to be. In his words, Steve Harvey isn't a role model. He's a hypocrite. So what exactly did Katt reveal that has everyone talking? He begins by giving Steve his flowers, at least at first.
Said.
Okay.
And that was rough.
There's no denying it. Steve Harvey dominates the game. Comedy, TV, radio, books, he's done it all. But Katt says that kind of success didn't come from just grind and talent. He insists it came with a cost, built on manipulation, strategy, and using people like chess pieces to move himself forward.
Like really kiss most of the corners of my... When a person sits on the show and don't hesitate or say or and speaks eloquently, that don't mean it's true. Not in the same league, though. We shooting at two different baskets. I shouldn't even have said nothing.
Katt claims Steve carefully built his career by surrounding himself with the right people, not to lift them up, but to leverage them, even if it meant walking over others on his way to the top. It's a heavy accusation, especially coming from someone like Katt, who's always branded himself as anti-Hollywood and proud of it.
That's how we got started. And it was rough, man, because it was just the three of us. And the first night we did it was a disaster.
But Katt doesn't stop there. He calls out Steve for playing two roles: the uplifting, motivational TV host in public and the ruthless game player behind the curtain.
With you, Frank, yeah, I didn't know nothing about this concept. When the promoter told me about it in October, I shot it down. Because that ain't how I've ever promoted with some real monsters, man. I toured with the Kings. You know, I've been on stage with Sid, DL, and Burning Man. I had to say.
Katt says that Steve's nice guy act is nothing more than a cover-up, a carefully built facade hiding the real Steve Harvey underneath. Behind the charm and smiles, Katt claims, is a man driven not by honesty or integrity, but by fame, power, and control.
All our shows, so I took cash that night, because I'm going to go across the border to the casinos in Canada, and I'm going to gamble. We in the limo, me and Sid, we going across the thing, Border Patrol say, "Who are you?"
Now let's be real. This isn't the first time Katt Williams has called Steve Harvey out. The feud between them has been brewing for years. We've all heard the whispers, joke-stealing, backroom tension, and rival energy that never truly died down. But this time, Katt's taking things further than ever. He's not just questioning Steve's comedy, he's questioning his character. According to Katt, Steve Harvey has a long history of using people to get ahead, only to toss them aside when they're no longer useful. It's a brutal accusation, one that paints Steve not as a man chasing success, but as someone guarding it like a fortress. In Katt's eyes, Harvey's rise through Hollywood wasn't built on pure talent. It was strategy, connections, deals, aligning with the right people at the right time. For Katt, this is the truth behind Steve's empire, not just ambition, but manipulation. He claims Steve didn't want to make it. He wanted to control it. And that's exactly what he's been doing all along. But Katt's anger isn't just professional, it's personal. He's fed up with what he sees as years of betrayal, deceit, and people getting trampled in Steve's climb to the top. He even suggests that several of Steve's old colleagues have been left hurt or forgotten along the way. Then Katt takes it a step further. He claims that Steve's entire public image, the family man, the mentor, the motivational speaker, is nothing more than a front. Behind the camera, Katt says, is a ruthless player obsessed with control. A man who'll burn bridges, use people, and do whatever it takes to keep his empire intact. So what does all this really mean? Is Steve Harvey truly the villain Katt paints him to be? Katt Williams says yes, because for him, exposing the truth matters more than protecting Hollywood's polished image. He's shining a light on what he calls the ugly side of success, the manipulation, the betrayal, and the hunger for power hiding behind all that glamour. And the craziest part? Katt's not the only one saying it. There are plenty of people who believe the world of comedy and entertainment isn't nearly as clean as it looks. Behind the laughter and flashing lights, even the biggest names might be hiding something darker. Secrets tucked behind those polished smiles. As for Steve Harvey, he's stayed silent on Katt's latest claims. But if history tells us anything, Steve knows how to survive a storm. He's faced controversy before, and every time, he somehow walks away untouched. Whether he'll confront Katt head-on or just let the noise fade away, that's anyone's guess. One thing's certain, though. Katt Williams has once again sent shockwaves through Hollywood. And this time, the tension between him and Steve Harvey feels like it's about to explode. Who's being honest? Who's playing the game? And who's going to walk away victorious in this war of words? Stay tuned, because in comedy, it's never just about the punchlines. It's about the power struggles happening in the shadows, and Katt's not the only one paying attention. Over the years, fans and fellow comedians have questioned Steve Harvey's methods, the enemies he's made, the bridges he's burned, and the unapologetic way he's handled it all. But for Katt, this isn't just about how Steve gets to the top, it's about how far he'll go to stay there. Let's rewind for a second. Steve Harvey didn't start as a global brand. He came up hustling in small comedy clubs, grinding just like Katt Williams once did. But somewhere along the line, Steve found himself connected to the right circles. He moved into TV, wrote bestsellers, and became one of the most recognizable hosts in the business. Still, as his career skyrocketed, so did the questions about how he made it. Katt's criticism cuts deep. He says Steve didn't just work hard, he worked the system. His rise, according to Katt, wasn't built purely on raw talent, but on relationships and deals, the kind that open doors even when you're not the most gifted in the room. That's the story Katt's been telling, that Steve Harvey's success isn't about skill, it's about strategy. So what does this mean for the comedy world? Katt's accusations hit a nerve because they touch on a truth many have whispered for years. Comedy isn't just jokes anymore. It's politics, power, and control. And if anyone knows that game, it's Katt Williams. He says Steve Harvey has mastered the art of running Hollywood's system, using his public image as a shield while making ruthless moves behind closed doors. Deals, alliances, silenced voices, all to protect his position. It's the same story Katt's been warning about. The good guy gets the glory while the truth stays buried. And Katt's far from alone. Other heavyweights, Monique, Dave Chappelle, even Kevin Hart, have hinted at the same thing. Hollywood lifts you up, then chews you out. They've all talked about how powerful figures, like Steve Harvey, shape narratives and decide who stays relevant. But what makes Katt's words stand out is how he connects Steve's behavior to the bigger issue, how influence in comedy has turned into a weapon. The powerful keep their thrones by silencing anyone who dares to challenge them, and Katt's making sure the world doesn't ignore it anymore. Katt Williams says Steve Harvey isn't just playing the game, he's rigging it. And when Katt speaks, the world pays attention. He's built a reputation for saying what others are afraid to say, no matter the fallout. So when he sets his sights on Steve Harvey, it's not just gossip, it's about something much deeper. Katt isn't talking about petty rivalries. He's talking about power. The power to shape your own story, the power to decide who wins, and the power to keep others from ever climbing too high. And in his eyes, Steve Harvey represents that power. A man who's used his influence not just to stay on top, but to make sure no one else can threaten his position. Here's the irony. Steve Harvey has built an entire empire teaching others how to win, how to manifest success, how to live their best lives. He's written bestsellers, hosted seminars, and built a motivational brand that millions look up to. But to Katt, that's the problem. He says it's all smoke and mirrors, that the image Steve sells to the public doesn't match who he really is behind the scenes. Katt paints him as the very thing he warns others about, someone who's mastered the system, not through authenticity, but through manipulation. And that, Katt says, is what makes it so dangerous. Because the people we believe are telling the truth are often the ones keeping the truth hidden. The message here runs deeper than comedy. Katt's not just throwing shade, he's shining a light on something that's been whispered about for years. Steve Harvey may be a legend, but Katt claims that legend was built on control, not creativity. In this business, it's not always about being the funniest or the most talented. It's about who holds the keys, who protects their power, and who they're willing to silence along the way. Katt Williams isn't just calling out one man. He's calling out an entire system that rewards those who play dirty and punishes those who speak up. And once again, his words have the whole industry paying attention.